Are you a football fan?
I'm not a football fan, so...
Me neither.
Okay, then we should talk about something else.
So let's talk about Gothenburg.
Okay, that's a better idea. I know more about that.
How about the Gothenburg Book Fair? For me, it seems that Gothenburg is it's a Swedish city, one of the biggest one who promoted the Flemish literature there. What was the result?
We will be guest of honor in Gothenburg at the book fair in 2027, together with our Dutch colleagues, and we went there now as a kind of a start. We went there with a small team. We had meetings with the people of the book fair. We had a guided tour there. We were having meetings with publishers to have as many translations as possible by 27 in Swedish, and just as a start of the guest of honor program.
I haven't mentioned, we are actually in Antwerp in the Flemish Institute for Literature. What do you think? Is it easy to promote Flemish literature?
It's not always easy, but it's the best job in the world we have, because we can work with the best books, we can promote them, we meet a lot of very nice publishers from all over the world. It's sometimes hard because of course you have the whole world, you have a lot of competition, especially as Dutch is not the biggest language, not a lot of publishers do read Dutch. It's sometimes hard because publishers do prefer to be able to read the book themselves. So it's easier if you have, for example, a French or an English or a German translation, then you have a bigger chance that someone in the office reads the book or can read the book. And so it's not always easy with a smaller language like Dutch.
Is it happening actually when a writer write a book in Flemish or Dutch, let's say? And then you translate first to English, or someone translates first to English, and then it goes to the Swedish market or the Polish or whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely possible because of course English is read almost everywhere, let's say. So it's like a first step. If you have a complete English translation, then a lot of people, not just readers but also professional readers like publishers, can easily read the book. So an English translation is definitely an advantage.
I have an imaginary situation.
Okay.
Today they invent a pill which you take and you live forever. I think they are also coming closer and closer to that. So if we stop the literature, we stop the time and everything, and then your only task is to read all the interesting and important books in the Flemish literature, and you can start today. So what do you think, when can you finish it?
And it means also that there are no new titles added, or it keeps on going and going?
No, let's say there's no new title, because if there's new title, then it's a never-ending story.
It's very hard. I think in our jobs we try to read as many titles as possible in Flemish literature, so we try to screen and to be updated on everything that is being published. Of course that's impossible, it's impossible to read everything, but yeah, I think it would take some time. If you also look at the classics and everything that has been published before, yes.
And what if we only talk about what you are interested in? I mean, probably you're not interested in the Middle Age carpet making stuff.
Could be interesting.
Yeah, of course. Then you are not interested in the car mechanics books.
No. If I look at what I read, we are going in 2 weeks' time. We're going to Frankfurt. So we're really preparing for meetings there, and this summer and still now we're reading the books, and we made a selection. So for example, we chose 9 interesting new novels that were published the last couple of months. We're also taking 10 titles from children's books, so if you would say that this is already a nice selection, and then yeah, you have to multiply it with quite some years.
Is it part of your job description that you have to read one book per month or something?
Yeah, it depends. We don't read it here during our working time. We read it on trains or late in the evening. We try to read as much as possible. We're several colleagues, so sometimes we also make we read these books and then we talk about it, just to discuss which books we will take with us to book fairs. When we're at book fairs, everyone has read the books in the selection, of course, but in the preparations. And sometimes you also, of course, also have very, very good books that can't make it to the selection because it's impossible to translate or because it's a very local theme. So we don't only look at the books that are of a very good quality, but also who might have an international potential. It's hard to tell how many times we would need to read all the good Flemish books, because there are quite a lot of good Flemish books.
If I'm absolutely fresh to Flemish literature, then what should I read first?
That's a very difficult question. It's very hard to say like this is a top 10 or a top 20 of the must-reads. Also, if you look to publishers, for example, they look at prize winners because that gives kind of idea of the literary quality, or that the book is very good because it was awarded with a prize, so that would be possible. But I think if you look at Flemish literature, what we are very strong at is graphic novels, for example. We have this very big graphic novel scene here. You could say it's not only a Flemish thing, it's perhaps a Belgian thing. You also have a very big scene in the southern part, in the French-speaking part, so that's perhaps something interesting. What we're also, of course, very good at is everything illustrated, so not only graphic novels, but also children's books. So we have a very bright range of interesting illustrators here in Flanders. You can start with the classics, of course, like for example Hugo Claus is an important name in Flemish literature, but you have also very new and young and interesting fiction writers. So I think it's a very diverse literature we have with the very different kind of authors. So it's very hard to say what you should start with.
Of course, I should say first that okay, I'm interested in novels and or novels in the sea or something like this. That
gives a better identity. And of course, it's as with everything of art, it's very personal. A book I really like is not necessarily something you would like, or vice versa. It's always very subjective if you give any advice, and that's also something we find in meetings with publishers. They sometimes ask what we really like, but then it's a very personal question, of course.
Of course, I know the Knack magazine, the Humo, so I can check. Sometimes there is literature in it. Mm-hmm. But what should I check? I mean, the French has the Lire magazine, which is entirely about the new books across France. So what should I read if I want to know more about the news? You have, with several magazines or several newspapers, you find, especially in the weekends, more information about new titles with reviews, also sometimes interviews, like the Standaard or the Morgen. They have a focus on literature. You have also in the Netherlands several newspapers who focus on it. You have magazines like, as you said, Knack. They have a focus on literature, but also in the Netherlands you have like the Groene Amsterdammer, who also has a focus on literature in a broad sense, so not only novels, but also sometimes bigger or broader than just that. I checked your internet page, and basically you have grants for translation, mm-hmm. You support festival presence, so you are very active, of course. So tell me some success stories. What was a very nice story is that Gaia Soetes, for example, she wrote a couple of years ago Trophy. It's a novel about trophy hunting, which you could say it's a very specific theme, but it's broader than just this trophy hunting. She's also talking about nature and how
we, with our Western glasses, so to say, look at Africa. And it was a book that was seen here in the press, but I don't think it sold a very big number of copies at that time. But then it was published in German, and it was a huge success over there. So sometimes it happens that books are a bigger success abroad than here with us. It sold a lot of copies there. It got a lot of raving reviews. She was in every newspaper, on all television shows. So it was a very big thing. And now she only recently, a couple of months ago, published her new novel, Het Geschenk, The Gift, and it was immediately published both in Dutch and in German at the same, or almost the same time. And again, it was a very big success from the very first day it was published in Germany. So it's, I think Raya lives like half a year in Germany just to do the promotion.
Ooh, there's a lot of way. We can continue. But first, let's talk about this. I just grab it in the reception.
Mm-hmm.
Dit is de boekenzoeker,
Yes.
heb je kiezen. Leestips voor 0 tot 18 jaar. So what is behind that?
It's something from our colleagues who are here in the same building as we are. It's Iedereen leest, everybody reads. It's an organization that promotes reading with the youngest until, or also for adults. They have all kind of ways to get more people reading books, and that's one of the campaigns they have. They have a website where you can look and find inspiration for books, and so it's especially for children or also for parents who want to, for example, read a book with their small children. They can find inspiration there.
Okay, I have another one. This is What is jouw verhaal? What is your story?
Mm-hmm.
And if I turning it, then you can send. I think you send your story, and you can search. You can find other stories. Of course, in every family there is a story. Mm-hmm. In a way, and this is going like generation to generation. My grandmother told me a lot about what happened in the family, but this is not really interesting for others, I guess, because basically the same thing happened what in other families, or mostly. So there was no big surprise or nothing to hide. But when I talked actually with the MIMU director, then he told me that there is something more on these personal stories. They collecting photos, mm-hmm. and digitalize it and put it into a website, and then everyone can see it. It's also a nice project. So in this project you try to get stories from everyone, and then you sort it out somehow, because then you must have like thousands of similar stories at the end.
Yeah, it's also the idea that if you look at society nowadays, it's very diverse, and you don't always see that in books, especially if you look at children's books, for example. You see that not everybody can recognize themselves in a book, and it's also a way of opening it up to a broader audience, so that every child could recognize themselves in a book, and it's not only white children with a mother and a father, but that there are very different stories in society. Diversity also seen in books. And so it's a bit this thing that there should be a story for everybody available.
Yes, but even if you have the biggest diversity, I think what the people want is a kind of success stories that, okay, it's coming from the US, that I came from nowhere, from a small town or a dorp or something, mm-hmm. and then I became the richest man in the world or something, or if not, then I was the happiest man in the earth, or something. So people, I think, are really hungry for this kind of stories. Yeah. But what you told me, these diversity stories, is usually about the other side of the moon, no?
If you look at how many people are writing, so not only professionally, but just for fun or because they like it, or more as a hobby instead of going to cooking lessons or whatever. It's a very popular thing. A lot of people write books, and I think it's also often about things you see in your own lives or things you do or things that interest you. So it's also a bit of course, you have a lot of personal stories.
There was a big success, Irene Sola, the Catalan writer, and then I found some similarities because Catalonia is also, well, not the biggest part of Europe, of course, and of course Irene is a female writer, which is now, I think it's getting turning now. There are getting more female writers, I guess. What you mentioned with your success story was also a woman.
Yeah, it was also a female writer.
Yeah,
that's right.
So maybe it's coming.
More and more publishers ask really for female authors in the first place because they have a very male list, I guess, and they are like looking for more like 50-50. It's something you see that publishers are actively also looking for more female authors.
Maybe there's no just one answer on that question. Maybe it's there are more and more female readers as well.
That's true, yes.
So that also could be something. And maybe if the AI take away all the jobs, then we all have to sit at home and do something with our time. Then what we should do? We have probably, if we have money, then we can go to the bookshop.
That's true, or to the library.
Or to the library. Actually, are you satisfied with the Antwerpen bookshop?
Yeah, there are
selection?
a couple of very nice bookshops here who have a very diverse collection of books. So yes, it's you have some good bookshops.
Is there any special in Flanders and in Antwerpen? I mean, if you just mentioned that you are the happiest man in the earth to have a job like that to promote literature, which I can agree. I also would like to work more on art and literature and this kind of the work. But if you are, for example, you live in Norway, for example, and you promote Norway literature, you find the kind of the same situation because we are all in Europe and we have kind of the same problems, or it's totally different?
Oh, it's hard to tell. I think the work we do as a foundation, governmental institution like ours, is that we can choose is a big word, but we make a selection of books we can promote abroad, because unfortunately our time, but also our budget is limited, so we cannot do or we cannot promote all books published by Flemish authors. Sometimes we wish that would be possible, but unfortunately reality is different than what we would wish. And I think it's a bit the same as with other foundations around in Europe. You have quite a lot of them promoting their literature abroad. If you are talking now on Norway or on the Nordic countries, they really have this Nordic crime. They really did a very good job in having this stamp or this mark, which is very clear. It's also something that a lot of international people know, like the crime thing is really something from the north of Europe, although we also have very good crime writers here, as of course. Perhaps, I'm not sure if we have something similar in Flemish literature, perhaps more the illustrated things, like I already said, on the graphic novels or illustrated books, and that's something we're very strong at and we can be very proud of as well. All what we have as institutions in common is that we can show a very big and broad and different arrow of books of interesting authors and titles from our own region or language.
I always wanted to find someone who actually read the Alcibiades from Elise Vanoosthuyse, because in my surroundings they're mostly artists, they don't really read that kind of book. So did you read it already?
No, I didn't, but I have colleagues who did.
Oh, could you introduce me
yes,
to them?
Definitely.
Good. Okay, then thank you very much for the interview.
You're very welcome.